Welcome back to Aligned and Renewed. In this video, we are going to be talking about the nervous system and the role it can play in supporting chronic illness and reversing chronic disease. My name is Megan. I'm a Christian functional medicine practitioner, and I help Christian women reclaim their vitality by integrating functional medicine principles with biblical living. Let's get started. I spend a lot of time educating on the nervous system because of how influential it is on every cell in the body. Today, we're going to talk about a concept called the cell danger response and why it is so important to ask the question, is your body stuck in survival mode? I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a rise of chronic disease today and chronic symptoms, and a lot of people are left feeling discouraged and not knowing where to turn. And I think one of the most powerful things you can do when it comes to advocating for yourself and reversing symptoms is understanding why your nervous system and tending to it is so important. In this video, we're going to ask the question, what if the symptoms that we are labeling as chronic and associating under the umbrella of disease are actually survival mechanisms knit in our body for us to survive living in a broken and fallen world and gifted to us by our incredible creator. From fatigue, heart palpitations, high or low blood pressure, allergies, airway issues, pain, gut issues, Lyme disease, to other autoimmune flares and hormone imbalances. Many women and men of faith that I have worked with are often told there's nothing we can do, or your labs are normal. I don't know why you're suffering with all these symptoms. And as a result, they're left feeling discouraged, defeated, and they're offered medication after medication or supplement after supplement. And I know this happens because I was a victim to this process, and I've watched my clients go through this process as well. And often the missing link is to start understanding the deeper language that our body is speaking through symptoms rather than rushing to suppress them or band-aid them with a quick fix. What if the language that our body is speaking through symptoms is being misunderstood and mislabeled and silenced with a pill for the ill or a supplement for the ill? When we approach disease by viewing the body as a whole and looking at symptoms as messages and view the body from a lens of curiosity rather than fear, so many layers of healing unlock for us. Our bodies are incredibly designed, and it is often when there's something in our environment that is blocking that design that will cause chronic symptoms to occur. And when we view the body through the lens of curiosity and honor of this design rather than fear and labeling everything under disease, so many opportunities for healing occur. Now, I'm not saying that understanding this will help you completely eradicate all disease and symptoms in your life. We live in a broken and fallen world. But what I am saying is that a failure to fully understand how incredibly designed the body is and what can get in the way of healing is causing a lot of unnecessary suffering. So let's take, for example, the cell danger response. If you want to learn more about the cell danger response, I included some articles for you, but it is a groundbreaking concept in biology founded by Robert Naveau, and it reveals how chronic illness may actually begin with the body doing exactly what it is designed to do, protect you. So what is it? It describes how the cells in your body respond to threats, whether these threats are chemical, microbial, like bacteria, emotional, like emotional triggers, or even spiritual. And it does this by shifting your cells out of growth mode and into survival mode. And when your body shifts out of rest and digest and growth mode, you're turning off processes like digestion and detoxification, and you're prioritizing survival. Imagine it's like your body's internal alarm system, and the alarm gets triggered when a threat is detected, and cells stop doing everyday processes like digestion and detox and hormone production, and they redirect all of their energy towards defense, like increasing your immune system and triggering a cascade of responses that help protect your body, and all of your energy goes towards that. This is a good and a necessary design, but the problem is when that alarm never gets turned off, when your body is constantly re-triggered, or you're stuck in an environment where your body is constantly perceiving threats. The body stays in protection mode rather than healing and growth and detoxification mode. And true healing can't begin. You get stuck in a cycle and your symptoms worsen and progress. Now, according to Dr. Naveau, there are three stages of the cell danger response. There is CDR1, which is your defense phase, and your body experiences a threat, shuts down normal cell activity to protect against that threat. Inflammation increases, your mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of your cells, the energy drops, and this is where you feel chronically fatigued, where you get out of bed and you're just exhausted and you feel like no matter how much sleep you can get, you're never replenished. You can also struggle with chronic pain and a sense of feeling of wired but tired or burning the candlestick at both ends. CDR2 is when safety is restored, your body begins repairing tissues and regenerating new cells. But if the body doesn't feel safe, it never transitions here. And so you get stuck in the cycle of CDR1. And then CDR3 is your restoration phase. This is when your body resets and restores full function. And in this stage, healing becomes possible if the prior two phases are completed. Many chronic illnesses occur when we get stuck in one of these phases and we keep cycling for too long, especially the first stage. So what can keep you stuck? Things like trauma, not just emotional trauma, but also physical trauma. Like maybe your symptoms began after a car accident, or your symptoms began after a very traumatic event in your life, like a fire or something that really impacted your body physically. It's not just emotional trauma, although trauma can indeed impact your physiology and keep you cycling in and out of this phase because of the triggers that you experience and how your body perceives your environment. If your body is constantly perceiving a threat in your environment due to how you have developed coping mechanisms through trauma that you've experienced, it can contribute to chronic disease. Things like prolonged stress, maybe staying in a job that you hate, constantly struggling in marriage, living in survival mode, constantly living in go, 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 and never having time to stop and relax and replenish. Underlying infections, things like H. pylori, which is a gut infection, or living in mold, or an overexposure to toxins like heavy metals that are in our environment, or breathing in air pollution, BPA from plastic and heating up plastic in the microwave, and that plastic leaches into your food, emotional suppression, or holding on to grudges like resentment and anger, for example, and unresolved grief. These things can all keep your body stuck in an alarm phase, preventing the healing cycle from occurring. From a nervous system standpoint, when your brain perceives threats, even without a current danger, it can keep triggering a cellular defense. This is why I constantly teach on concepts like brain retraining or somatic practices that help reduce tension in your body and teach your body a new pattern. Vagus nerve toning. 80% of the messages that you are receiving each day come from your body, not just your brain. And this is why incorporating nervous system practices to repattern your body to pick up cues of safety rather than constant cues of danger, both through your perception and through your sensory awareness, is so essential when it comes to reversing chronic illness. And it is a huge step that is missing in a holistic approach to care, and for sure in a conventional medicine approach to care. And this is how and why chronic illness can continue progressing and worsening, because you're never allowing the healing cycle to continue. And this is why these types of things can allow the healing cycle to continue, and you cycle through all the phases. And in some cases, this is how you can reverse chronic illness. And if you think about the way that our bodies have been designed, and if you're a Christian, you look at this through a faith-based perspective. When I first learned about this process, I was in awe of God's creation of our body and our design. And it really brings to light scripture like Psalm 139, which tells us we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Or in Romans 12, 1-2, it talks about how you can retrain your brain through neuroplasticity when it says renew your mind. And so this model, the CDR model of healing, affirms that ancient truth. And this is when healing can become really exciting and inspiring. Your symptoms are not a sign that your body is broken. Your symptoms are a sign that your body is fighting for you. And it's a sign that it's intelligent and is responding to its everyday environment that it has been placed in. This is why environmental factors are so essential as well. It is protecting you. In my practice, I teach women how to partner with their physiology instead of fighting it, and learn about the messages that their body is sending them and how to decode them rather than living in constant fear of it. This involves things like tuning into the cues of your nervous system and understanding concepts like neuroception, which is just a fancy way of saying how how you respond to your everyday environment and what can cause you to respond from a place of survival rather than growth and healing. You can have something called faulty neuroception, which is where, due to the experiences that you have had in your past, it shapes how you now view your everyday environment. And sometimes women, especially, can get stuck viewing their environment as a constant threat. And so it will fuel chronic illness. This also involves things like supporting mitochondrial function by replenishing essential nutrients. There are a lot of nutrient deficiencies today and improper sunlight exposure. If you think about our work environments, we're constantly under fluorescent lights and not exposed to a lot of natural light, and that can impact our mitochondrial function and how our body perceives safety. And also it involves decreasing exposures to toxins, not in a obsessive way, but in a way of where you are aware of the toxins in your environment, like in your water or in your food or in your pots and your pans or in your skincare, and you start to take small actions to decrease that exposure, and you nourish your body enough to enable it to get rid of certain toxins on its own. We have been incredibly designed with an ability to detox, but if you're constantly living in survival mode, your body is not prioritizing detoxification and digestion. It is prioritizing survival, and that can impact your liver and your gut, which can worsen chronic symptoms. Another thing my practice involves is letting go of perfection mentality and applying self-compassion. You're doing the best that you can with the knowledge that you have been given, and your responses have made sense in light of the things that you've gone through. And learning how to apply self-compassion can be so healing. And these are types of things I teach inside my membership, which I will link below. And then finally, this also involves anchoring the healing process in the truth of God's word. We were not promised healing. We live in a broken and fallen world. However, there is a lot of suffering going on that can be supported. And so remembering that this process involves both surrender to God's will while also taking radical responsibility for our lives is so important. If you suspect you're stuck in a cell danger response, here are a few things you might want to consider. And you can find a lot of these inside my membership because these are things that I have personally done to reverse chronic illness in my life. And these are also things that I do with my clients to help support their health as well. You can do things like breath work paired with mindfulness. Activities like body scanning. There's a great body scanning video on this channel, and body scanning and mindfulness and breath work have been shown to lower stress in your body, which helps kick on that healing response. Environmental orienting and eye exercises. Eye exercises have been proven to shift your body into rest and digest mode rather than survival and protection mode, which again can help kick on the healing process. Tuning into your mineral status with hair mineral analysis testing and functional blood lab tests. Minerals are the spark plug for every process in the body, and many people are completely deficient. You can find a lot of articles on HTMA testing on my website because I'm a big fan of this. It can often detect deficiencies earlier than blood testing because blood testing tests the serum and hair testing tests inside the cell, and it can give you a much more accurate representation of 3 months worth of data, and it can help you take early interventions to help your body come into a state of safety. Because if you're constantly deficient, your body is looking around at an environment that feels depleted, which will stimulate that survival mode. And then a question that I encourage my clients to think on when I do something like personal mapping, which is looking at your history from your birth to your present and how that can play a role in disease, is to ask the question, what was happening in my life when my symptoms began? Many clients often report that their symptoms of chronic illness began at the height of a stressful event in their lives. And recognizing this creates a space to start to unwind that pattern that has been created that is almost like the tipping point that sent you over the edge and into a flare-up of symptoms. You were designed with the capacity to heal. That does not mean you're promised perfect health, but it does mean there's a lot of unnecessary suffering going on today due to a lack of knowledge of how the body works and ways that we can support it holistically. God designed your body with intelligence. When we stop trying to band-aid or suppress our symptoms and start listening to them and take measures to come out of survival mode and into alignment with our mind, body, spirit, and nervous system, and tuning into our environmental factors, a lot of healing becomes possible. My clients and I are living proof. If you want to dive deeper into nervous system regulation through a biblical lens, join me inside the Aligned and Renewed Collective, where we blend nervous system support, functional health techniques, and spiritual formation together. You can find the link in the caption.